1977, George Lucas formed a legacy.
The Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
Inspired by mythology, his saga has become a passion for many.
Feel the Force around you.
His legend has become our story.
It's true. All
one of resistance.
we are the spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down.
Rebellion.
Rebellion is built on hope.
And redemption.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
This is Star Wars Reactions.
Remember, the Force will be with you. Always.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Star Wars Reactions. We got a full show for you today, so let's get started. My name is Aaron Harris. I am one of your hosts here, and joining me is my co-host. I tell you, he is a great guy. He is the Rex to my Ahsoka, the David Motters. David, what's going on, my friend?
Oh, just getting on to talk Star Wars with you, my friend. Ready to react, and we're gonna have some fun with this episode. I know a lot of people have been online and in some other podcasts, but looking forward to talking about it with you, buddy.
Yes, it's going to be fun. We got a lot to talk about. Where the topic for this week is episode 2 of season 2 of The Mandalorian. The Passenger. So we'll talk to that here in a minute. But we'll go through a few other things first. Everything going good, David?
Good on this end. You and I are in Florida. We were supposed to get tons and tons of rain. Not a whole lot here today. So we'll take it, though. We'll take the rain. No hurricanes, but we'll take the rain.
Exactly. Yeah. Things seem to be turning westward. So
yeah.
Again.
Yeah. Oh,
okay. Feel sorry for those people out west, the Western Caribbean and Gulf Coast area. They've been really getting hammered this year, and we've been counting our blessings here in Florida. So, yeah.
How about it? You're doing good on your end, buddy?
Yeah, doing good on our end. I have family in town. My parents are here, so it's nice to visit with them and just still plugging away, working from home and doing all this stuff. I will say this, though. I have gotten a new addiction.
Uh-oh.
For some reason, I don't know why, but I've started listening to jazz music.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, just out of the blue. Out of the blue. I was on our Instagram going through some stuff, and I saw that Seth MacFarlane. I don't know if you know who Seth MacFarlane is. He's he's a big guy out in Hollywood. He's the creator of the cartoon show Family Guy, American Dad. He did the star of the Orville. He's done a lot of Hollywood movies, the Ted movies, 1,000 Ways to Die in the West, a lot of stuff out there. But he was live on Instagram, and he was apparently the guy's got a pair of vocal cords that apparently don't stop. Not only does he do all the voices, the dude can sing like Sinatra, man.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it. And I literally laid there. I just laid on my bed and put the earphones and just listened to him go for about an hour. He went just different tunes, just jamming out by his pool. He had a band there and everything. He had a drummer. He had a guy on a cello. He had a guitar. I mean, he had the whole setup going.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like, man, I forgot. I'm like, this is great. So that just kind of got it going, and that's all I've been listening to lately is jazz and Sinatra era music.
That is not a bad obsession.
Oh, it's crazy, man. Then I started looking it up and come find out Seth MacFarlane's got 5 albums out.
Oh, no way.
Like,
are you kidding?
5 albums plus a Christmas album, so 6 total albums.
Oh my gosh, I had no clue.
Neither did I. I was stunned. I'm like, okay, this is my new thing for now. So, matter of fact, I was doing the dishes tonight, and I'm sitting there, got the earphones in, and I'm just jamming away.
Nice.
Rotating through some Sinatra, some Harry Connick Jr., some Seth MacFarlane. This just does not sound like it should be in the mix.
Mm-mm. Not him. No, not with what I know him for, like you said, for all the cartoons and of course tons of Star Wars references in all his, which is really cool. So that's what I think about. Some of these people, it's amazing how talented they are. It's like it's blatantly unfair.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's very talented. That's for sure. So
yeah.
All right. So enough of that. But let's if you got to check it out. So if y'all haven't heard price, how much is out there? So all right. So let's take a peek here. We got some news in here that we got to go over. Not a lot of news, but there's been a little bit. Of course, today, the day that we're recording this, which of course is Tuesday, the 10th of November, is the day we're recording this, was the release of the new book, A Certain Point of View, Empire Strikes Back. I've already got my Audible downloaded, ready to go.
Well, it's interesting. You and I were talking about this, and I picked up the physical copy from A Certain Point of View, Empire Strikes Back, because I'm going to get all three. I've got to, because I already had the first one, Star Wars from A Certain Point of View physical, so I'll get all three when Return of the Jedi comes out in 3 years. But I actually just got Star Wars from A Certain Point of View on Audible and have been listening to it. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to do what you did and get this one also on Audible. And I'll tell you, I had started reading from A Certain Point of View, 3 years ago, and I just bogged down and there's other stuff to do, and I just didn't get back into it. But hearing it on Audible makes it so much more enjoyable. I'm loving the background music and different sound effects. It's just really cool. And so I'm looking forward to doing it with this one as well. I looked at the page count in the newest one that came out today, 561 pages. I think about 100 less in Star Wars from A Certain Point of View. So, I mean, I'm going all the way to the end. The very last pages, the last several pages are author descriptions. But yeah, it's when I picked it up at the bookstore today, I was like, holy mackerel, this is thick. And but I'm looking forward to getting through the rest of the Star Wars Audible, and then I'm going to get the one I'm going to get the one that you just got too. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. What's ironic is I have to finish the first Certain Point of View on Audible before I start the Empire Strikes Back one too.
Right.
Great minds. Yeah. So that's what I am currently working on there. Once I get that done, I will proceed from there. It's going to be great. So I'm really looking forward to getting into Empire Strikes Back, the Empire Strikes Back version there, and seeing how it filters in and how it goes. So, all right. So, also, of course, yesterday, like I said, we're recording on Tuesday. So this week, Monday, yesterday, we had Mando Monday, which they're doing for the next several weeks. They're doing Mando Monday, and they just announced a whole bunch of new merchandise again. Not a lot of merchandise this week, but they announced some new Funkos, which I thought were pretty cool. And what I liked about this one is the Funko I saw that they announced, of course, is based on the episode we're about to review. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. I saw the other ones.
It's the child with the container of eggs.
Oh, okay.
He's trying to get into the container of eggs.
So the controversy continues. Okay.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, we got to talk about that as we get into this episode.
Oh, we will absolutely. Can't talk about the episode without talking about that. So.
No, I'm glad you did.
But yeah, I thought that was hilarious. They also announced, and this is what's going to get me in trouble. They've announced the Black Series. They've been doing the Black Series helmets. They did the Stormtrooper. They've done Darth Vader and certain other helmets. They've announced they're doing, and it's on pre-order right now, the Mandalorian's helmet.
Oh, jeez.
$120 on pre-order will be available. It actually is being released in June. So.
Well, I'm looking out for your marriage. Okay, so.
Oh yeah, so am I. Not going that well, but no, I'm just kidding.
This Star Wars stuff is hard on our marriages.
I tell you, man, you can't win. You can't win for anything. No, it's a great thing. But there's a lot of great merchandise that's coming out, and they're going to keep announcing more. They also, of course, yesterday ended last night at 11:59. Ended the HasLab promotion for the Razor Crest, the Vintage Collection Razor Crest, the 3 feet long, and it's fully funded. They met all of their goals for their bonus levels, so it's done. It's over and done with, fully funded, and they'll be getting they're starting production on that soon. So I thought that was pretty cool. I did not give in to temptation. I did not.
I didn't either. It looks so cool. I mean, obviously the first one was Sail Barge, was fully funded, and this one is as well. I mean, I do think about what I've heard some other, Star Wars brothers and sisters have said online and in podcasts, which is, if you don't have a place to display it, what do you do? And I just don't have the space for something that big, let alone Jabba's Sail Barge. But I mean, it looks so cool. I mean, obviously, if I had a lot of discretionary funds, maybe I would have done it. But I think, I don't know. Right now, I'm just not in the. I don't know. Again, I'd love to have it, but not. I don't. I guess that's the bottom line. I just don't have any place to put it. It's nothing that big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, definitely. I can definitely understand that. I probably would have found a place to put it.
I will make room, Dave.
I would have made room for it. I would have found a place to put it. I was even talking to my day job boss, and we were talking about it. And I told him I would probably end up. I'm glad they gave us laptops for our day jobs, because if I got that thing, it'd have to sit on my desk, and I'd have to have the computer in my lap all day.
Right. But it's displayed.
So, it'd be displayed. But yeah, so it's done. The Sail Barge was never a big temptation for me. I liked Return of the Jedi, but the Sail Barge, it never was a big temptation for me. This was. Now, I will tell you this. If they come out with the Ghost, I'm screwed.
Oh, well, I wouldn't be surprised. But that would, I would.
They do the Ghost. I'm in trouble. We may be calling on some of your counseling.
I know we can. Well, I might have to counsel myself, because I loved covering Rebels with you. I love that show and still do. So I hear you.
Oh, it would be. That would be incredible. That would be so incredible if they did that.
Yeah.
From our lips to Hasbro's ears.
That's right.
Here we go.
Oh.
There we go. All right. Oh man, I can't even imagine if they did that. Tangent.
Well, you know what they would do? They would have a special edition chopper, and you'd be completely done. There'd be nothing that would stop you from getting that. Put a chopper in there, then they would put like some extras on the inside, like they did on this Razor Crest, and like gun turrets, and throwing a few more figures, and throwing a little, Ezra with his lightsaber he built, and oh my gosh, game over.
The thing is, it would have to come with the Phantom attached to the back. So it's two vehicles. And I'm already sitting here thinking of some of the extras they could do, too. They could do the puffer pig.
Right, exactly.
Or let's see what else. Some of the Imperial crates that they would have stolen in the first throughout the series. Those would have been good.
You know what I'm thinking of? I was thinking of the bunks that
yes,
and Ezra in, and then even like Kanan's quarters, and have a holocron in there, right? Yeah. That Ezra goes and gets, have a little drawer with that in there. Oh my gosh, we're doing the work for Hasbro.
I know. Well, the catch with this is they never released Rebels Vintage Collection.
Oh.
It's always been from the movies, and then they've done a few from the Clone Wars, they've done a few, now they're doing Mandalorian, but they never did Vintage Collection from Rebels. So they would have to release an entire line.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
If it gets we can get in fully funded. Yeah. Fully funded at the highest extra level, you get the whole crew.
Yeah, I was thinking they could even have like the milk cartons or something that, like, Zeb starts throwing at Ezra when Kanan's trying to train him, and have a few loth cats running around. Oh my gosh.
They need to have a crate of Mailurons.
Exactly. Have a crate of, yep, they would have those in there. That would be another. They did the 4 slabs of carbonite inside of the Razor Crest. Yeah, they would have the crate of Mailurons. Oh man, you and I are, we got it.
We're on fire tonight, man.
Oh, little speeders that Kanan, Ezra, and Sabine all have, and inside we'd have Sabine's room, which has would have her graffiti inside of it. So there you go. Look at that. We just did it.
There it is. It's all done.
Yeah,
it's all done. So we'll have to wait and see if that happens. That would be, oh my gosh, I'd be in so much trouble. Well,
and right now, buddy, this is November. Christmas is upon us, man. Yep. I mean, it's that's kind of really been a big thing I'm thinking about. And you and I both have, 2 children.
Yep.
Oh, speaking of children, can we give a shout out for Jason? Can we do that?
Absolutely. Our pal Jason. We congratulate him and his wife Sarah and their daughter Ray on their newest family member.
Right. Lyra.
Oh yeah, she was born this morning. Beautiful baby girl.
Yeah.
So definitely want to extend our congratulations to them. I was so excited when I got that text this morning. So
yeah, it's so cool. With both kids, one Ray and one is Lyra, and I did ask Jason, now, hey, is that related to Jyn Erso's mother? And he gave the little winky, the one that you can do like the semicolon, the wink, and
yep.
So that was really cool. So definitely Star Wars news there for us and for Jason and and his girls. So 2 beautiful girls, both with beautiful Star Wars names.
Absolutely. So we're excited and happy for them. That was great news today. So that completely threw me off topic.
I know. I was like, wait, I got to make sure. Yeah, we do that. Yeah,
definitely a good way to shift gears. The last piece of news I had was actually something we talked about last week. We talked about the Rancho Obi-Wan gala, which normally they do Halloween weekend, was postponed, and they're doing a virtual gala. The tickets have gone on sale. You can get those at ranchoobi1.com. So go over there to get your virtual gala tickets. They're starting to announce some things. I'm still trying to figure out how they're going to do the virtual wine tasting. You get a FedEx package a week before. Do not open until this night.
Right.
A bunch of little bottles in it.
Mm.
I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, if you're interested in that, check it out. There's going to be a lot of great people. I know they've said James Arnold Taylor's going to be a part of it. I believe I read Dave Filoni's going to be a part of it as well. So it's going to be, I know he's always done a lot with Steve Sansweet. So it's going to be quite the event. I know I've seen a lot of people online who are going. So let us know if you're going. I'm still trying to clear my schedule so I can do it myself. So I think it would be a lot of fun to do. So
yeah.
Other than that, that pretty much wraps up all of our news. So yeah, so that's all the news. So we got a great show to talk about. We are going to be talking about about the Mandalorian. We're, like I mentioned earlier, we're discussing Chapter 10, The Passenger. Great episode written by Jon Favreau, directed by Peyton Reed, and of course in this episode picks up right where Chapter 9 ended, with them still on Tatooine and him looking for other Mandalorians, and he gets a tip from Dr. Mandible. Dr. Mandible, yes, Dr. Mandible, about a passenger who can, if they transports this passenger, the passenger can connect him with a covert of Mandos. So he reluctantly agrees and ends up transporting the quote-unquote frog lady in her eggs and to this other planet where unfortunately they don't quite make it to their target, where they are intercepted by some New Republic X-Wings, one of which flown by Trapper Wolf. If you recognize that name, we'll talk about that more in a little bit. And they realize that Mando and the Razor Crest was a part of a jailbreak from last season, from some before. So we saw that last season. And he's recognized from that. And of course, a pursuit and chase begins. They end up crashing. And while they're trying to fix the Razor Crest, Frog Lady wanders off with her kids, finds a hot tub, is chilling out, relaxing, but it's not her hot tub. It's actually a big old spider's hot tub. And we get a big spider chase, which I don't know about you. I hate spiders. I hate spiders about as much as Indiana Jones hates snakes. I hate them, Jock. I hate them. But big spider chase, big spider fight, and of course, they are rescued by the X-Wing pilots, and who decide to give him a break because he did bring in, and of course, if you remember the end of that one episode, he leaves the crew that they think is dead in the Briggs, locked up, and so they give him a break and let him go, and they manage to get the Razor Crest to take off, and they kind of hobble their way to their next destination with the episode ending. So, and that is our synopsis of The Passenger, which was probably my worst synopsis I've ever done. I'll own it. Initial thoughts, David. What did you think of this episode when you first saw it?
Yeah, I mean, my initial ones very quickly were just that, you compare it to the most recent one, right? It's a "what have you done for me lately" kind of thing. So I initially didn't think it was as good as the season 2 premiere, last week's episode, The Marshal, because, just the stuff with Boba Fett and the armor and all of that. I also noticed this, that kind of, I hadn't had this happen all of season 1, or even, like I said, the first episode of this season, but it was the first time I experienced the thought, okay, enough. I know we're in Star Wars, and I think it hit me when I saw Treadwell, and Peli Mota called it Treadwell. Um, and so I just, and a lot of other things as well. It's kind of like, no, I've got it now. I don't need all of the reminders now. I've typically really enjoyed them, but I think a little pullback on that would be okay, at least in my humble opinion. On a more positive note, and critical to my psychology corner that I'll be talking about here in just a little bit, that's my new section of the podcast where I talk about psychology and parenting and fatherhood and stuff like that. This episode was all about parenting and fatherhood. And it was at the forefront of this episode, more than perhaps any other one. And but I'll explore that more coming up. Two real positives for me: seeing X-Wings, always cool, and of course seeing Dave Filoni back as Trapper Wolf is always very welcome. So those are just some of my initial thoughts.
Very good. Good thoughts. Good thoughts. Well, here's where I start getting into unpopular opinions. The episode was, I thought the episode was good. But I had some issues with it. I enjoyed myself. It was fun. It was engaging. But I found myself wondering why we were watching it. It really didn't do much to advance the overall storyline of, getting the kid where he belongs, and looking for, it literally just seems like a side MacGuffin, honestly. It did have its high points and good points, which we'll talk about. But for me, I was, especially after, like you mentioned, after the first one with Boba Fett armor and all the action there, I found the episode a little lacking, honestly, which is surprising. I just figured if with what little time they have, with only doing 8 episodes, it would have been a little bit more plot related, if you understand what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
But I did enjoy it. It was still a good episode. Don't get me wrong. It's still a lot of fun. A lot of exciting things happened, and was engaging in the episode, in which we'll talk about. There was some definitely got me with the nod to Rebels and the return of Dave Filoni. I think that was the most excited I was in the episode when I saw the X-Wings fly up. I'm like, oh, that's pretty sweet, X-Wings. Then when we cut to Dave Filoni, I'm like, oh, Dave's back. Then it made me excited to see who was in the other X-Wing, and then I was like, oh, okay, new guy.
Yeah.
But real good. It was overall, it was a good episode. But I would say I do have I had a little bit of disappointment with it, to be honest. But overall, I still enjoyed it. So with that, with our initial thoughts out of the way, we will take a quick break, and then we'll actually go into the episode itself and discuss Chapter 10, The Passenger. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. We're here discussing Chapter 10 of The Mandalorian, The Passenger. We just gave our opening thoughts on it, and overall, like I said, it was an okay episode. It opened up back on Tatooine, and right off the bat, he's ambushed. He gets ambushed with people trying to get the child, which, it was nice to see that the bounty hunters were still on his tail, which we knew they were from the previous season, but this gave us I just lost the word. the urgency that they were right on his tail. There was a certain word I had in my head and I just lost it, but it let us know the urgency was still there, which was a nice reminder of what was truly going on. But honestly, it was really the only, in my opinion, the only reminder of what the true mission is in this episode. What did you think of the ambush there at the beginning of the episode?
Yeah, very funny, and really exciting. You know, they're on Tatooine still, and like I said, it looks like I believe I've heard some other podcasts talking about the little Tito-looking guy that we see from Force Awakens. It looks like some of the same outfits that they had from that. For the Tito was the one that was kind of holding the knife to Baby Yoda's neck and stuff like that. But I love how the Mandalorian handles it, right? And very calm and cool and collected. And the jetpack ride was pretty funny. That was cute, especially. And I sent a picture of this to a friend of mine. I can send it to you as well. Someone had captured that view, that look, the look I call it, from Baby Yoda up to the Mandalorian. You know the look that he gives him.
Yes.
Kind of peels his eyes up and looks at him like, "Oh my gosh, come on!" Right?
Yeah.
So that was cute.
Oh yeah, that was to me. This was the best part of the movie or of the episode. Was this ambush? It was action packed. It was fun. He was outnumbered, so he was definitely fighting for his life. But it had just enough comic relief to it that, especially when he gives him the jetpack and he hits the trigger after it, and the little guy goes shoot straight up in the air. Oh my gosh, that was the best. To me, that was the best part of the episode. Because it was just so much fun, and things just were. It was intense. It was enjoyable. It was funny. The child was in there just enough to spice things up and make it funny, and it was fun. I really enjoyed it.
I think for a lot of people, it was the first few minutes there were people's favorite part, and the rest of the episode kind of fell down for them. So, kind of a common theme I've heard, just kind of taking it all in.
Exactly. And of course, after you see the body come falling back to the ground, how the jetpack comes down on a controlled landing and just lands and then falls over. It was the perfect opening for the episode. Yeah. It was a great opening. It was a perfect opening. It worked out. It was a great opening. It was a great way to get you hooked into the episode. But what they did after that, unfortunately for me, came up lacking. We got to go back to, he walked back to Mos Eisley, and we did get to see, of course, the cantina again. It was fun to see the cantina. Always fun. Not as much scum and villainy as we're used to seeing in there, but there was a little bit. And we get to introduce to Dr. Mandible.
This cracked me up.
Oh my gosh. What did you think of Mandible?
Well, it's fun because when she said it, I thought, I think a lot of people thought this, and I'm like, wait, are you joking? Like Pelly jokes, and
mm-hmm.
Or I'm like, wait, no, she's serious. Like this guy, and the first thing I thought is you got a PhD? Is he an MD? I mean, what kind of doctor are we talking here? Where to go to school? Maybe where Dr. Afra went, right?
Yeah, you never know.
Remember the
Doctor of Archaeology.
Yes, exactly. And so Dr. Mandible. And of course Peyton Reed, who directed this episode, I believe he did both of the Ant-Man movies for for Marvel, and so here he is pulling in what looks like an oversized ant, So there's the connection. So, but I thought it was fun. I mean, that's right up the Cantina's alley. I mean, you're not sitting there going, "Oh, I'm shocked to see someone called Dr. Mandible," right? Dr. Evazan is in there too. Was in there many years ago, but lots of strange doctors are in there. Ooh, wait, Doctor Strange, strange doctors. I didn't even mean to do that.
Well, we're talking about Dr. Mandible and the type of doctor he was, and Doctor of Archaeology came up, and I'm sitting there thinking, he's the Indiana Jones of the Star Wars world, and then I was like, you call him Dr. Mandible.
You call him that. Oh my gosh, we're bringing in all the Lucasfilm entities here. Yeah,
might as well.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Oh gosh, I love it. I love it. I have too much fun. Anywho, I love how at this scene too. They also when this Tatooine scene, they actually give a nod to Galaxy's Edge, Toronto's Roasters, because they go back to the hangar with Peli, and they end up roasting the crate dragon meat with an engine, and they got a Treadwell droid just spinning it around.
Right.
It literally reminded, as soon as I saw it, I was like, Ronto Roasters.
Exactly. Yeah, total nod to Galaxy's Edge. Yeah.
Which was so much fun. That was a great nod there. So we end up leaving Tatooine on board the Razor Crest. He meets the passenger. It's the Frog Lady, and she's got this container of eggs. And to me, this is when the episode really starts going down. The Frog Lady. Let's talk about the Frog Lady. What did you think of the Frog Lady?
Right. Well, first and foremost, we got to tip our hats to one of our favorite voice actors of all time, D. Bradley Baker. The voice, he did the frog. Obviously, when you need some voice like that, you call D. Bradley Baker. But it's interesting. I think overall, I like her, and I like what she does with Zero's vocabulary to talk with Mando later in the episode. I guess I'm not quite sure why she leaves the Razor Crest at one point and has all the eggs out in the water, maybe just to warm them up and stuff like that, like you mentioned earlier in the synopsis, that kind of hot tub for a spider. Like we said, there's some story holes here, plot threads that don't quite make sense to me, but overall, I actually I think I do like the character. I'm curious to see what happens in the next one here, and we can talk about that a little bit more. But overall, don't love, but like the character.
Okay. The character itself, I really didn't have an issue with. I thought the costuming was a little out there.
Yeah.
Maybe with Star Wars, we're used to having out there characters. I'm not going to deny that, but it just seemed a little cheesy compared to some of the other, ones we're used to seeing.
Yeah, understood. Yeah. And I think Misty Rosas was under there, just like she was for Cleo.
Exactly.
That same size, actress under there.
And but I mean, it was good character. I mean, obviously, has a very strong maternal instinct, and she's traveling to meet her husband to get her jar of eggs fertilized. There's a phrase I never thought I would say on a Star Wars podcast.
First for everything.
Traveling to get her eggs fertilized. Okay. And I find it ironic, and I still don't understand. I'm still trying to understand why they had to travel at sublight speed. It just didn't make that just didn't make sense for me.
Well, I think this is where I don't know. I can, if you want me to do, my psychology corner might be a good fit right here.
Okay.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, go right ahead. Now it's time
well,
for Dave's psychology corner.
Thank you, Aaron. Aaron and I just bounce off each other, play off each other. It just flows, so it works well. No, I think for me. So let me explain this out, because because that's one that people are like, well, wait, why does he have to travel at sublight speed? Why does he have to take this person? Why does he do this? And so on and so forth. So here's my psychology corner, and let's see what people think, if I get any feedback at all. I said, if you recall from our last episode, fatherhood and parenting make up the themes of this segment that I'm doing this year, as well as it's really the season, right? Fatherhood and parenting, that's really what we're seeing here with The Mandalorian. And so, with this one, I have listened to some other podcasts, saw some stuff on Twitter, and definitely picked up the vibe that probably most Star Wars fans, they like this episode, but their view was it wasn't as fun, as exciting as last week's battle with the Krayt Dragon and the reveal of Boba Fett, and really, a lot of the episodes last year, the majority of which I think people really enjoyed. And so, but this was, I thought I had to put this together, because each episode I'm looking at, what can I talk about here? For me, this vibe is perfect, meaning this whole thing of the difference between this episode and last week's episode, meaning that it's a perfect lead-in for what I wanted to share today regarding what we see from Din as a dad with a small child. And so what I want to convey is this, is that the world, and our culture in particular, trends towards wanting to feel good, be excited, and be entertained. This is a big part of the work that I do in my office is dealing with this. And the subtlety in this episode shows that being a good dad or mom isn't always about feeling good, excited, or entertained. It's doing all the little things. So I want to read a quote. And then it'll tie into this very thing you were talking about with the sublight engines and I would argue all the inconveniences that he deals with, that as a bounty hunter by himself, he would never be dealing with any of this stuff. Okay. So last week I read a quote from a book. I'm going to try to do that each week. Just, grab different quotes and apply them to the episodes. This one is from a quote in the 2000 book, Every Man's Battle. And the authors are Stephen Arterburn, Fred Stoker, and Mike Yorkie. They're excellent authors, and I've read a lot of their stuff. They share this quote about what works best for dads and moms in parenting children. And here's the quote. What works is, here it is, and I have the quotation marks. Aaron can see it here in the show notes. What works is pulling your tired frame out of bed 5 days a week, 50 weeks out of the year. It's earning a 2-week vacation in August and choosing a trip that'll please you as parents. Oh, no, that's right. That'll please the kids. Taking your son or daughter bike riding on Saturday when you want so badly to watch the game, right? Football, basketball, baseball, hockey, you name it. It's cleaning out the garage on your day off after working 60 hours the prior week. What works is coping with head colds and engine tune-ups and crabgrass and income tax forms. It's taking your family to church on Sunday when you've heard every idea the minister has to offer. It's giving a portion of your income to God's work when you already wonder how ends will meet. To all of this, most men's gut level response is, get me out of here, right? And that's a huge thing from this book, and I love that. And I've talked about that many times, and we've had the destruction of maleness. I've mentioned this periodically on different shows that Aaron and I have done. We're starting to have the destruction of femaleness too. I can talk about that more at length on future shows. But here's where I'm going to peel back around to what Aaron was saying. So in this episode, you see Din Djarin, Mandalorian, doing what works. For example, getting blankets for the mother who's cold, providing discipline to the child in terms of eating the eggs, right? You see him put the finger, It's seen in his protection of the mother, the eggs, and the child throughout this episode. We also see two key parts that show that parenting isn't always easy. For example, Din is frustrated when he has to travel at sublight speed instead of using the hyperdrive to protect the eggs, right? The premise here that Jon Favreau writes is that if you go at hyperspace, I mean, it's, obviously it's all made up, but if you use, hyperspace travel, it destroy the eggs. And so I don't know, when Jon Favreau is writing this, I don't know if he's thinking, are people going to pick up on this, on kind of these frustrations? Because you see the Mandalorian looking at Peli the whole time, and his frustrations increasing. And you and I know, Aaron, as dads, when you're dealing with kids and you have a spouse, it's not always easy. There's times where I want to travel at hyperspace, but I've got to travel in the minivan at sublight speed, right? This is, it's life. And so, so I think, I don't know, it'd be neat to talk to Jon Favreau and say, hey, did you introduce that to show that, again, to help a mother and small children, we'd say eggs and so on, it's more difficult. Again, if he's by himself, child, no mom in there, no eggs, boom, he's not doing any of this. Another key part is when the frog lady, right, the mother, uses the vocabulary from Zero to share that she thought the Mandalorians were about honor and they had a creed and always doing the right thing. And he's wanting to rest and sleep, and he kind of looks at her and he gets up, he goes outside and gets to work in the cold, and all I'm looking at is, yeah, that's what works. And it isn't fun, it isn't exciting, it isn't entertaining, but that's what works as a dad or a mom. It's just doing things when you're tired and you don't feel like doing it. And so I wanted to do that. There's one other part here I'm going to save to a little bit later. But I just wanted to do all that and come back around to you and see what you think. I don't know. Do you think it's just too subtle that people aren't picking up on that, all the frustrations he's dealing with? Because I just tied it into really showing his growth as a dad.
Well, it definitely shows his growth as a dad. That's not in dispute, because he is very well taking care of the child. He's doing his best for it. And it's in there. I mean, he was giving up his Beskar, his jetpack for the child's safety. I mean, he wasn't willing to see harm. I mean, he definitely saw how much he cared for it. I don't know if I wouldn't necessarily say that was missed. I just don't think a lot of people would have looked that deep into it.
Well, and I think, right, and we are coming to this to be, just entertain and leave reality. Mm-hmm. This really felt like this episode was character driven and character growth, even though we've got, huge spiders and X-Wings and all kinds of cool stuff. But again, that's where it'd be cool to ask Filoni some of these questions.
Oh, absolutely. The episode was good. I mean, and you can see, as the episode goes on, it fills in. When a lot of it takes place after they crash. He's frustrated when he's traveling, but once they crash, you see that protective side definitely coming out, because he's trying. At first he's like, you know what, we're just screwed, forget it all. But when I honestly never thought I'd see Zero talk again. I figured he'd have thrown that carcass off his boat by now. I didn't expect it to still be on there.
No, not at all.
So that surprised me. It's just out of the blue. That just completely surprised me. Was not expecting that at all.
No.
It was, yeah, but it was an interesting concept for sure. I think I think a lot of people got lost in the episode, especially, and a lot of people there was a lot of people being offended by the episode too. And a lot of controversy with the episode, with the child honestly created controversy by eating the woman's eggs.
Right. This is what we were talking about getting to. That was the last little part of the psychology corner that I was going to mention. I was going to let you go first. What is your take, and then I can throw in my 2 cents.
You know, I really honestly I can understand everybody's point of view, but I had no issue with it, honestly. I thought it was it was a comedic effort. Is what it was, to break the ice. I mean, no pun intended, because we're on an ice planet, but Carabast. But there was, I just thought it was a good comic relief tool. I can understand, it's her last set of eggs. She's not going to have any more. This is it. I can definitely understand why people would have had an issue, but it didn't bother me one bit, to be honest. I don't know if that makes it be cold or careless or heartless, but it didn't faze me one bit. Honestly, I got good laughs after watching him chow down on some eggs, especially in that closing scene when they're all trapped in the cockpit and Mando lays back to go to sleep and she's sitting there cuddling the eggs, and he turns around child is sitting in Mando's lap, and he turns and looks at the jar of eggs, then turns back around and looks out the window and just sits there, and all of a sudden he pulls one out of his robe and eats it.
Right. Right.
I got good laughs out of that.
Yeah.
I felt no offense to it, unfortunately, at all. So
you're so uncaring.
I'm a heartless.
I know. Well, it's interesting. I think when I initially watched it too, I was like, wait a minute, like, this is not good, right? I mean, because they did make sure to set it up that, that we got to travel at sublight speed. These are the last of her kind. And then you have the child doing this. So one of the things I think is that couple of things. From my psychology corner, I would say this. I've worked with gobs and gobs of parents on, behavioral interventions, and, talk to them incessantly about, spanking and timeouts and what works, what doesn't work. I've done this for years and years and years. And, people get very heated about politics, about religion, and about parenting. And, but one of the things that, I would have loved to have seen, I wrote this in our show notes, did the child deserve a timeout for eating the eggs? And, well, yes, of course, when the Mandalorian catches the child eating that first one, and tells him, no, don't do that. You could consequence there if you wanted, but maybe not. It depends on how much this 50-year-old child, understands or not. So, I would definitely say that the second time, there should have been one. And timeouts work. We here we go. Here's some psychology. We use these on kids 2 to 12 years old. Maybe the child's 50, but probably that's chronological age seems to have the mental age of, I don't know, somewhere between 2 and 12, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so timeouts work. You do it for the number of minutes the child. If the child's 5, you do a 5-minute timeout. 10, you do a 10-minute timeout. Typically after 12, we talk about like kind of removal of privileges and stuff like that. But there wasn't any discipline. At one point, it's kind of a comedic thing where he's wanting to grab an egg out of that hot tub, that hot spring. And they do the close up of Mando's hand going, no, but and then of course he goes over and eats another type of egg, which is again no good. So he's not helping here. So I would definitely say that's where, I'll be curious to see if they'll show something like that. I don't know if they will in The Mandalorian, like, appropriate discipline, appropriate timeout and stuff like that. But getting to the bigger issue, of eating these eggs. Some people were really turned off by this, and my whole thing is this: is Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni tone deaf? Right? Do they not get this? And I just, these two guys, when you and I just got done covering over the summer and into the fall here the Disney Gallery, right, of the Mandalorian, 8 incredible behind the scenes episodes in that docu-series that you and I covered. And these guys strike me as anything but tone deaf. They get it. They're smart, incredibly creative, talented writers. They know how to tell the long story. And so one thing, I was thinking is I kept thinking back to, I don't know, this might sound strange, episode 2 of last year, when Baby Yoda, the child, holds the Mudhorn up and protects the Mandalorian's life. And so you wonder if, did he eat them, or is he protecting them in some way inside of his body? I'll be curious to see in this next episode, does the jar get smashed and the eggs are gone, but he still has them. He has them inside of him. I mean, he was able to regurgitate that one frog last season in Sanctuary, right? When the kids are like, ooh. Now, if that happens, I hope that does, then it shows the child as being caring and protective of life, right? If not, it would really surprise me, knowing Favreau and Filoni. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. I also think about what you've said, and I give you credit. You've said it when we've done Rebels reactions, Resistance reactions. There's no filler episode. And so with this one, I again, the last season, Mandalorian was, could do no wrong, and people loved it up and down. And now, second episode in, it's people are wondering, is it? And I keep going back to what you said. I think we've got a parenting payoff here with Mando growing, and I'm really curious if we see a regurgitation of those eggs, and Favreau and Filoni's showing that child is lovable and caring about life versus just kind of just thinking with a stomach, right? Chewbacca.
Yeah.
So that could be the redeeming quality here. If not, this is one of the first times people have seen the child in a negative light.
Very true. Very true. Well said. Well said. Well said. It will be interesting to see where they take this, because it is definitely something that is. I think a lot of the controversy, honestly, when I started seeing it, I was a little taken back by it. I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Right.
Seriously,
right.
This is an issue. Come on.
Well, I mean, yeah, we could talk for hours about what are issues. What do we worry about and what do we not worry about? Like I think of the thing tone deaf, like when Kim Kardashian just had her 40th birthday party on some private island. I don't know where it was, and then posted all the pictures and the responses on Twitter were, you're completely tone deaf, with people suffering with COVID. Presidential election was coming up. We've had so much strife in our country, rioting and protests, and again, but then on the other hand, does it surprise anybody that the Kardashians are tone deaf? They're multimillionaires. They can do whatever they want. And it just struck everybody as, you people don't get it. You're tone deaf. I just don't see Filoni and Favreau that way. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, no, not at all.
No.
They are definitely not what I would classify as tone deaf, to say the least.
Oh. So, like I said, it'll be interesting to see next episode. I kind of get a sense. Remember in the preview? Remember the preview we got for the Mandalorian?
Mm-hmm.
I remember you texted me immediately that morning, Dave, check this out, and you see the Quarren on the dock there, and then you see Sasha Banks disappear behind, some boxes and stuff like that. I get a sense that they're going to travel to that planet, the watery planet, that's my guess. That and remember the very first scene of the trailer we got, the Razor Crest is just kind of floating the bottom and the back end is open. Well, guess what?
Yeah. That's how it is.
Exactly. So I'm guessing this will be the scene we see to start this next episode, the third episode, and then they're on that ship, ferrying themselves across and stuff. And so I kind of get a sense that that's how they'll fit, and the Frog Lady will be there on that watery planet with her husband and stuff. So
I agree with you there. I definitely agree that's where we're headed, based on the shape of the ship. So. Yeah, a lot of great stuff tonight. Well, we're going to take another quick break, and then we'll be right back and close out our discussion on The Passenger. And we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. We're here discussing Chapter 10, The Passenger. So we've been skipping all over this episode. We have not gone chronologically at all, which is fine. We've had a great discussion. Let's look in here real quick. A couple of things I did want to talk about. The X-wings and the pilots. When they first showed up, thought it was real cool, but then when the Razor Crest took off and ended up losing them, I thought we were done with them. I did not expect them to show back up there at the end.
Yeah. I didn't know how Mandalorian was getting out of that one, especially with the huge spiders that, of course, you and I have covered in Rebels.
Yes.
Was that season 3? 4? 3?
That was season 2.
Oh, even so.
Season 2.
Okay.
Because they were on
Adelon. Yeah.
Season 2, because that's what they were there for Ahsoka.
Yeah. Well, no, it was great to see them come back, and even to see Filoni and the other guy. I guess he's a big member of the 501st or something, from what I've heard.
Correct. He is a member of the 501st. He's actually got quite a IMDb list. He's done quite a bit in Hollywood as an actor. So it's definitely not his first rodeo, but he is big in the 501st as well.
Oh, that is cool. So no, I love seeing those come back, and then you can really hear that the story that they told. From what I've heard, a lot of people say it's good to have the subtitles on to hear what they're saying. I felt like I heard it pretty clear in terms of, they checked his record. They saw that he had, put, this ties into chapter 6 of last year, the Prisoner, right, and how he had 3 bounties put in there, and of course Din says, how about if I trade in those 3 bounties for some help on my ship, and they didn't. I don't know, that was a little confusing. I'm not sure why they didn't want to help. Maybe they've got a lot of stuff to patrol, but they obviously do let them go and stuff like that. But they did thank him and for doing that. So and they saw that he had from that video footage had put his life on the line for Matt Lanter's character, right?
Yeah.
Remember that guy? Who Matt plays in that? But he plays a New Republic, prison officer, that we see get killed. So I thought that was kind of a neat tie-in to last season, and a payoff for Din doing the right thing, right? I guess I'm calling Din more, calling him Din more, but yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. So yes, agreed. I love seeing X. Really reminded me of the X-wing I had as a kid, the original Kenner one, and so yeah, real neat to see those.
Absolutely. Or I can't call him Din anymore. Because I think of Chili.
Oh, okay.
He said, we need to call him Diddy more. I'm like, no.
Who's gonna call him Mando? We'll call him Mando.
He'll always be Mando.
All right.
Just the way you said it.
I guess so. Yeah.
Denny Moore. Oh Lord,
Sorry.
where is my mind today?
Well, it's late at night, people. Just cut Aaron off some slack. We're doing this for the listeners.
Doing it for the fun of it.
For the fun of it. It's kind of like the two grumpy guys in in the theater there for
and the Muppets.
Right? That I'm sure there's someone like, just stop talking, both of you. End this episode now. So.
Well, good night, everybody.
Yes.
Nah. Good episode. Good talk. So yeah, that was. I tell you, I love seeing Filoni. In it, and the spiders, man, the spiders from Rebels. Those were, as soon as they popped up, I was like, I immediately got the chills because I hate spiders, but I immediately went, oh my gosh, Rebels.
Absolutely, and of course, Empire Strikes Back, right? That's original. Yep. I'm sure everybody listening to this knows that's original Ralph McQuarrie concept art for Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm. Supposed to have been a creature, I think it was on Dagobah, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yes, it was definitely fun to see him see the spiders show up, and in such a large quantity. So
yeah,
seeing them come running through and wreaking havoc. So, all right. Well, was there anything else from the episode you wanted to cover?
No. I felt like as we did bounce around, that we did hit the stuff that I wanted to hit. But I'm glad you jumped in there and mentioned X-Wings along with Filoni. That you gotta talk about that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Filoni's. You can't talk Star Wars without Filoni, but you can't. It's nice seeing him being so heavily involved in this live action show. So, all right. So, well, in that case, we will go ahead and close our discussion on The Passenger. Final thoughts, David?
Yeah, it's, again, you and I've hit on a lot of these things over the course of earlier of what we've talked about. I do understand why a lot of people see the disjointedness and some of the things didn't make sense, and why are we traveling at sublight, and why do New Republic officers not help? Would Leia act that way? No, she would stay and help Mando fix his ship, right? So some of these things just seemed a little disjointed, and I get what people are saying. I absolutely hear your point of view about are we how serious do we take this? It's a fictional show with the eggs and stuff like that. At the same time, I would just reiterate that I'm in Filoni we trust, in Favreau we trust. So far, until they do us wrong. I mean, they've done us right. They've done so much great stuff last season, and of course that first episode. So I do get it. I mean, you and I hear it, and we do understand that there is some frustration there, and some kind of what was that old saying, things that make you go right?
Yep.
So there is quite a bit of that in this episode, but there's a lot to like, and like you said, the original the first few minutes where they're ambushed, really cool, exciting fight scene there with Mando and bandits, those bounty hunters themselves. And then for me, ultimately, what would bring this up from a pretty poor grade would be is the parenting stuff in here. And again, it just, for me, they really show that contrast between what it is to be a good parent, a good mom, a good dad. It is dealing with all these frustrations. And when Peli is laying all these on Mando, you can tell he keeps looking back with his helmet, like just more and more frustration. Wait, you don't really know? No, you. Why do I have to travel with something like that? That's going to bring all kinds of problems, and it does. Right? It brings X-Wing fighters right on its tail. But ultimately, I do love how it shows the growth and him doing the things that work in parenting. I would like to see a consequence for Baby Yoda. I know people, definitely needs a timeout to work, and if done properly, if they're screwed up, they don't work at all. But I'd be interested to see if in future episodes they show any type of consequences if they do that or not. Because they've been playing this whole theme of parent and child. So. I mean, even going so far as to say it's not Baby Yoda, it's the child. So he's the dad, and that's the child. So this will be fascinating to talk about the rest of the season, and I'll keep trying to look for some new insights and stuff in each episode. And ultimately, because of the parenting stuff that fits right into what I've been wanting to discuss, I would give it a B+. It's not an A or an A-, a B+. If it didn't have this parenting stuff, it would be lower for me. First 5-10 minutes is an A, but not the rest of it. But I'm coming in right there, a pretty good grade because of the parenting.
Very good, very good. Great closing thoughts. I like I said at the beginning, I was disappointed, but I still think it was a good episode. There was it had a lot of great features in it. There's a lot of good things that came out of the episode. Like I said, I did have some issues overall with the episode, but it was still enjoyable. I still watched it. I still had fun. There were a lot of great nods. Anytime there's nods to other parts of the saga, I love that. And we got those nods in this episode. We even got nods back to last season, which is always a fun thing. So overall, I did enjoy it. Grade wise, I probably would have to give it a B-.
Okay.
A B-. There just wasn't enough story progression for me for the overall plot to take her any higher. So
that makes sense. Because I do agree with that. When you gave those in your opening remarks, that it really doesn't. It doesn't push them. It doesn't feel like any closer to seeing Mandalorians. I think we're going to jump into that here the next episode. But yeah, it does feel a little stagnant with moving it forward, particularly when you got 8 episodes, not 22.
Yes.
But 8. So yes, I hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, I mean, if this was a regular like television series season where we were getting 20 some episodes, then I know I would feel different. But when you only have 8 episodes, I don't know. I just didn't feel it. So, but anyway, those are my thoughts. Those are our grades. How did you grade this episode? What did you think of Chapter 10, The Passenger? You can let us know online, of course, on any of our social media accounts, whether it be Facebook, Star Wars Reactions, on Twitter, SW Reactions Pod, or Instagram, SW Reactions. Check us out on all of those. Let us know what you thought of this episode of The Mandalorian. You can also email us, show@starwarsreactions.com. David, if somebody wanted to talk Star Wars with you, whether it be Mandalorian or just other Star Wars, how would they go about doing that?
Absolutely. First and foremost, Twitter. It has never changed. It is David_Motters. And then our email is my email. Of course, you and I use our Star Wars Reactions. So David@StarWarsReactions.com.
Very good, very good. And of course, if you do want to talk some Star Wars with me, you can always hit me up on Twitter at TAHarris121079, or of course you can email me, Aaron at StarWarsReactions.com. David, my friend, this has been fun as always.
We did it, man. We got through it.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We'll be back next week when we talk chapter 11 at this point. Looking forward to seeing how the story continues and progresses. And we look forward to reviewing that. And of course, you can send us your thoughts on this episode or, of course, on any future episodes just by hitting us up at those addresses I gave you earlier. So thank you, everybody, for listening. We appreciate each and every one of you. We thank each and every one of you. We pray for y'all's safety and health and everything. And we're almost done with 2020, y'all. Page is almost turned. So we are counting it down. So we appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for listening in. This is your place for elegant discussion for a more civilized age.
If you'd like to share your thoughts, you can email us at show@starwarsreactions.com for our show notes and the latest news from the Star Wars universe. Visit our website at www.starwarsreactions.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at SWReactionsPod or on Facebook at Star Wars Reactions. If you enjoy our show, please leave a review on iTunes. This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or by Lucasfilm Limited. It's intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars. All names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and the respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Star Wars Reactions unless otherwise indicated. Star Wars Reactions. Elegant discussion for a more civilized age.